Chim chums, it's Warrine of DAGames, and as you all know, Scott Cawthon released the first trailer for the sister location. And to be quite honest with you, I have looked through this a little more in depth, and it's revealing a lot more than should, to be honest. So I think we might as well go through that. You guys with me? Let's do this. So, from the first part of the trailer, it starts showing like Five Nights at Freddy's Fun was about fear, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was mostly about panic, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was mainly based on dread, Five Nights at Freddy's 4, as you'll start seeing, is based on terror. And now look at this. So the very first section of that you see that's completely new to this is what seems to look like an elevator, which seems to be going down. But it looks like all the static and all the stuff's going crazy. The trailer, the elevator's not actually going anywhere. It's just rotating its fans from up above you. So if we have a look around the entire room, we notice at the top right, we have what appears to be our first glimpse of one of the newer characters when it says dance, which means that's that ballerina type thing that we were talking about during the copyright sections of what we could see there. Also, if you look further to the left, you start seeing a speaker, which means that, okay, we might have phone guy come through this. We might have a particular phone guy in this, or we could have one of the animatronics speaking out to us like one of the speaker sets, or it could potentially sound like a drill. So, like something to warn you of what's happening as continued. So as you can see now, this is no longer the elevator that we saw from the very beginning. This is now what looks to be a new room, which has two separate little puppet type things. One of them is obviously BB, but at the same time, there's this new one which is sat on the desk. You know how you get those ringmasters in circuses? Which, by the way, if that's the case, fuck yes, I told you that it was the circus. I told you guys it was like a futuristic FNAF 3, and look what happened. You see? Otherwise, I might be completely wrong and just slap me in the face right now. But I am more than certain now that this looks way more futuristic than we've ever presumed. This looks way too futuristic to be of FNAF 2 standard. But to me, I don't know. This puppet looks like a ringmaster to me. Like, I don't know how that's supposed to look. Like somebody with a microphone who's got like the tie on and the top hat and like the open shirt with the buttons, etc. It just all seems to match up to be either a ringmaster or like a boxing fight announcer, but I doubt these guys are fighting, so that's the only thing I can presume. Also, just before that little bit, there is actually a sound that hears, as you can hear here. Now, if you guys have a little bit of an ear for that, if we keep repeating that over again, it says, don't hold it against us. So, don't hold against what? What else is it that happened? Perhaps somebody is controlling these animatronics. One of the children has been caught inside one of these particular animatronics, and maybe the spirit's calling out to them. It says, don't hold it against us. It's not our fault. We're being controlled. Who else could be controlling this? Maybe it could be that little puppet ringmaster that was down below, or it could be a completely new vigilante, or from what we've seen in the copyright leaks, the name Springtrap heavily implies. So again, this new futuristic layout, it sounds a lot more futuristic than we have been letting it on for. Looky here, we have our ventilation system completely here now, which means we're gonna have things coming through those ventilations. Ventilations is coming back. Although I don't necessarily think that ever left, really. It was an integral part of FNAF 2 and FNAF 3. So FNAF 5 is going to definitely host this. So that's sister location. This is Funtime Foxy. And look at the shiny detail that's in this. There's not really much that you can see throughout this reflection. But as you can tell from the mechanical movements, these are supposed to separate. These are supposed to come out as suits, and they are supposed to get to you. Now, I don't know what you guys can make out of these reflections, though, because at the bottom where the cheek is, some people say that there's a reflection in there. Personally, I don't see a single thing in there. It's really hard to make out, but it doesn't look like anything that we've seen, to be honest. It doesn't look like Springtrap, doesn't look like anything that we've had to worry about in the past. But, as you can see, the eyes do move, so that's something that we saw in the FNAF 3 trailer a long time ago when Bonnie was faced this way and then looks at you. It looks like we're having somebody look at you from this side as well. deep below ground. So obviously now we know this is underneath the surface. So this is nothing to do with a pizzeria. This can't be anything to do with a pizzeria. This has to be something that's very devilish, that's completely underground. But it seems to be like a lore for somebody. The fact that it's underground and somebody's visiting this particular section, you have to wonder, what is the idea of this? Is this an attraction, or is this something that we're expected to fall under and do 5 nights off? Something that we've had to look into. And obviously after that, this is our new animatronic. Ballindora. I can't remember. The name's down here somewhere, but it looks like this is the particular animatronic that we're seeing in the picture in the elevator, which is the dance type creature. But also, its eyes don't seem to want to move. Like, as you can see, the animatronic suit, like everything else, is supposed to move. Which means, and again, not just Funtime Foxy, but this one also has means of opening up their face, where memories sleep. So obviously, this is of memory's sake. However, since it's called a memory, it would have to have been done in the past. But since this is where the memories sleep, it's set in the future tense because it's bringing back those memories. Something that we theorized all along. And here is Funtime Freddy. Something that I forgot to look at inside the copyright leaks. I forgot to mention that Funtime Freddy was in here. I completely forgot that he was a character that exists in this. So as we can see, Freddy holds the same animatronic suit. It's supposed to come apart. It's supposed to have all this crazy stuff happen. And the eyes also moved as well. So that means something. And also, he's got a microphone. Same kind of microphone as we were expecting a long time beforehand. Anger is restless. A lot of what I can see from anger is restless. Anger seems to be is definitely something of an emotion. Since it's restless, it means it's happened for a certain period of time. So maybe this anger has happened for so long back in the day, for all that stuff that happened with Purple Guy and everything. The anger of maybe the sister location being the thing that's been in the outshadows, and that location that was left to rot. Maybe that anger has become restless, and now we're starting to see it once again unfold in the future. And here we're starting to see our little glimpses of Baby. Now, I'm just having a look at this a little further. We are actually seeing from one of the finger peels, there is actually a bit of wear and tear. But also, at the bottom left, we're starting to see like a fan type section, which means there's a little more endoskeleton into this. I have absolutely no idea what to expect, but if you look in this little arm, they look a little bit like the wires that you'd see of Springtrap. Suspicious. So, secrets are things that you're supposed to keep, and these secrets don't keep. So obviously, again, with this future tense stuff, maybe these secrets are finally going to be revealed. Maybe it's Scott's way of saying that it's going to be revealed. I have no idea. Okay, so now this is where everybody starts revealing themselves. So as you can see, there's Funtime Foxy, Ballindora, and just before we stop with Funtime Freddy, as you can see at the very left, there's a little toy bunny as a little puppet type creature. And also, nearly every single one of these animatronics holds a speaker on their torso. So this speculates that these characters are indeed going to have voices. They're going to speak to you. There's going to be stuff that happens in this. But here we are. This is the first full exclusive look at Baby. And as you can see, it looks like a clown baby. Looks like one of those little spirit girls, you know, those twins in the horror films. They were just like, we would like to play with you. It looks kind of freaking weird. Don't ever mock me. Don't mock me. Yeah, this is something that Springtrap's holding on to. I can almost guarantee that Springtrap's holding something behind this. There's been too much to suggest that Springtrap already exists, especially from that previous trailer. That previous teaser that we saw, sorry. Five Nights at Freddy's sister location. So it looks like Five Nights at Freddy's has returned at the top. So this is definitely a FNAF game, but it's not number 5. It's sister location. So it's not an advancement from the previous story. This is a completely different one, which is, of course, sister location. Now, I know you guys get a lot of a fright when it comes to, like, the jump scares here. So it's really hard to look at what's happening through this because of the motion blur, etc. However, there is one particular frame that Chloe did find, which is, look at that. It's a full endoskeleton. It looks creepy as hell, though, but looking at all those lights that are going crazy, and obviously this malfunction of a robot is going out of control, but you can start to see what's inside of this, and the detail looks absolutely amazing. But at the same time, knowing that you can see these futuristic type elevators, the futuristic panel that you're seeing, and also looking at the endoskeleton's particular type, looks like we have a new endoskeleton, but it looks like it's from the Desolate Hope series. If you've seen the Desolate Hope pictures, you start seeing the little endoskeleton layouts. They look a lot more metallic, a lot more detailed. Just taking a look at this, it definitely seems like it could be Desolate Hope era. Who knows? It could replicate the game. It could replicate all sorts of things. Also, with the jolting that's happening like this, all this shit that's happening, it's very similar to the transformation that you see Springtrap having in the FNAF 3 trailer. Now, it sounds bogus. It sounds really, really bogus, but take those jitteries, take those things that happen, and just go with it, because I think it is intended to match up, I believe. Something is supposed to lurk between. It's supposed to replicate that Springtrap is still a major part of this story. And obviously, there's nothing more to say except for this fall. However, the final audio that you can hear from this particular trailer is this.
You don't know what we've been through.
We don't know what they've been through. So, it kind of shows that they've got some sort of maybe grudge. I'm kind of looking at the speech in whole, and it says at the beginning, "Don't hold it against us." Okay, it sounds like there's nothing else other than those two things that we saw, so please don't hold it against us, and you don't know what we've been through. So, I don't know. From the emotion of the last bit, it sounds scared, but also kind of, to me, a little bit on the grudge side. It's like, you don't know what we've been through. I don't know what to think of it. Like, I want to say that perhaps maybe please don't hold it against us is perhaps implying that you're a character that's not supposed to be involved in the story, but as being lured into this, it's not supposed to hold any grudges. So it's like, please don't hold it against us, but you have absolutely no idea what we've been through. So we're gonna have to show you all this shit. Or it could be something completely different. I have absolutely no idea. But I figured we might as well look at this complete in-depth analysis so that we can further analyze what exactly is going on in this game. And from the looks of it, I was right once again. I think after FNAF 3. Because it just seemed too presumptuous to be in FNAF 2. It just seemed too easy to say that it was FNAF 2. And also, if we look at the sizes and proportions of all of these individual endoskeletons, if we hold them up together. So with them all being on podiums, it probably replicates a size in matter, but it looks like Baby is also the same size. It's also the same size as Freddy and Funtime, well, all the Funtime, and Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, and obviously Belinda. But because Baby's on the bottom podium, it often speculates if you put it next to Ballindora, then you've got the same size proportions. So it looks like all of these are the exact same size. And yeah, and perhaps this maybe suggests that since all of these animatronic suits can open, perhaps there's a lot more. That means, yeah, maybe you are facing against one person once again, but able to jump back and forth between these easy to supply, easy to release endoskeleton models. Again, complete speculation. They could all have endoskeletons that are possessed by some strange things like children, etc. So, again, that's pretty much our in-depth analysis. We have looked through everything, and there are a few notes as well to look back on as we've been noticing. We also found out in the FNAF World ending and the Sister Location trailer, these two that found out, the voices at the very end are very different to each other. So we've got a character that heard,
"The show will begin momentarily."
And then there's this one which sounds like,
"You don't know what we've been."
So they both sound very, very different. And maybe this one sounds a lot younger, but the other one sounded a little more informative. So that everyone please stay in your seats could be ultimately another animatronic. Who knows? Perhaps during the game, this child's voice will start to tell us a little bit more about the tragedies that happened in the past quite a while ago. Or this voice could particularly be not the baby animatronic, but a child who met their end in the body of one of these animatronics. However, from the word us, perhaps there might be more than one particular child. It's, as we were saying, like, there's a lot of things that could go around about the children here. I think the final thing that we've got to put out there is, if it's not entirely their fault, then whose is it? Who's pushing them to attack? Are they doing it through force? Is there, like, are they themselves, the children, trying to do this themselves? Or is it all part of a scheme of programming? Are you programming these animatronics to do such strange things? Is there some trauma that held back? Or, as we may have predicted, someone else might be pulling the strings. I think you guys know who that is. If I said Springtrap, I think you guys would know that. Just another quick thing to note, we have found something that does directly link one of the phone calls and this particular situation. So, if we read out this, it says, hello, hello, hello. Obviously, this is phone guy. There's been a slight change of company policy concerning use of the suits. Don't. Yeah, here we go. After learning of an unfortunate incident at a sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suits temporarily unfit for employees. Safety is our top priority at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is why the classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location. So these are classic suits. While being looked at by our technician. Until replacements arrive, you'll be expected to wear the temporary costumes provided to you. Keep in mind that they were found on very short notice, so questions about appropriateness/relevance should be deflected. I repeat, the classic suits are not to be touched, activated, or worn. That being said, we are free of liability. Do as you wish. As always, remember to smile. You're the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. So, with these being classic suits, but looking at those animatronics as we've seen, and they look majorly shiny, they look majorly futuristic, unlike what we've seen of most animatronics in the 70s and 80s era, this looks like something very futuristic. Again, this speculates that if you look at FNAF 2, you see that Springtrap in Night 6 was named, in fact, it's not named as Springtrap, but it was Spring Bonnie, kind of ultimately. Because in FNAF 3, you could also hear the audio call which says the Spring Body animatronic has also been removed. Because in night 6 of FNAF 2, Scott Cawthon, no. Because in Night 6 of FNAF 2, the phone guy could be heard saying, "What the hell are you doing here? Didn't you hear? The place is closed down." Somebody got into a suit, a spare suit, a yellow one. So it's obvious that this thing took place after FNAF 2. So obviously he was killed. He was kind of done for, but then he was brought back. However, in future tense, this is after FNAF 3, after looking a little bit more into the lore and finding all the toys, which also brings the teaser, what can we use? Another thing that was speculated in FNAF 3 was maybe what can we use was not meant specifically for Fazbear's Fright. Again, all of these things in FNAF 3 were probably something that could lead on to Sister Location, making this more than likely a future tense game. So it explains why these animatronics are a little shinier. And it explains why Springtrap is in this particular name, because he kind of exists now. He's alive. He's just after the auction. And he's tampered with these. Because it explains the technician in the call that we just mentioned in the full description. It implies that the technician was purple, guys. We've seen in FNAF 4, that purple dude that was putting the hat on the guy. The head on the guy, as I should say. This fucking head. And then, there you go. Everything all plans out. Now, it's just a presumption, but to be honest, I think it's just too big to let by. There's just too much that implies that Springtrap is in this, and that he's alive, and that there's a tense that can be set into the future. That's the final stuff that we can say about this particular trailer. We've had to look at absolutely everything. I hope nearly absolutely everything. If people have pointed out some other things, then maybe we can go into another in-depth analysis of this. We'll figure out that very soon. But anyway, if you did like what you saw, though, click like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family, or maybe your dog. If you have any other theories, why not put them down below? I'm Orion of DAGames. We just did an in-depth analysis of the Sister Location video. See you next time, folks. Peace out!